Pirates fight for Old Southwestern, for alma mater dear. Pirates fight for Old Southwestern. To Southwestern will be loyal to the sun from the sky, and remember to the end that our fight will never die. Pirates fight, yeah we win. Ayy. Pirates fight, oh, to the end. Whoa. Pirates fight, yeah we win. Ayy. Pirates fight, yeah, to the end. Whoa, to the end.
We all set? All right, I think we are good to go. Welcome, everybody, to SC Football Weekly here on the Vype Live Network. My name is Merle Bertrand, joined once again by head coach Joe Austin to my right. Trey Grubb, our substitute producer tonight. Thank you to Trey for coming out. Christina Weber, our QA. Suna Vincott, our technical director. Coming up tonight on the show, we'll hear from senior linebacker Blaine Corkin and junior offensive lineman Josh Taylor. Before we start the show, we want to thank our first group of sponsors, including Antioch of Georgetown, Baylor Scott and White Healthcare, Chappelle Realty Group, Chisholm Trail Pediatrics, Don Hewlett Buick and Chevrolet, Double Days Pizza, Eagles Wings Home Improvement Services, First Texas Bank, and Gary Brown, CPA. So, Coach, the Pirates got off to a much better start, battling Hendricks to a 10-10 tie 5 minutes into the second quarter. But then the Warriors scored 4 touchdowns in less than 8 minutes to build up a lead that the Pirates just weren't quite able to overcome. Southwestern fought back within range at 51-38, but that was your final score. Your thoughts on Saturday's ball game?
My friend Norma Gaines asked me before the show, is it going to be hard to do a show after a game like that? Good question. No. I mean, the great thing about this game is that, let me say it this way, sometimes you need to be a technical expert to diagnose what's going on in a football game or a season or with a team. The things that we need to work on are right in front of everybody.
Sure.
We don't play pass defense, and we turn the ball over too much. It's right in front of everybody to see. Which means the things that we need to do are not a mystery to us. We know the things we need to work on, and hopefully we'll make some good strides in improving both of those things this week.
Yeah, it was weird. You talk about it, you hear that overused cliche all the time about the wheels coming off. You guys are doing fine, battling them toe-to-toe, and then all of a sudden it just went away for about 8 minutes, and then you kind of righted the ship and got back and, had a chance to win there in the fourth quarter again, but it was just kind of too little too late at that point. That's a huge margin to try to overcome again.
Yeah, so it was a rough stretch, and we just poorly executed in that second quarter in a bunch of different phases in a bunch of different areas. And again, we won the second half, which we've routinely done this year, but we've got to do a little bit better in the first half. As you said, our start was a little bit better. Other than we had a strip sack fumble on our first play offensively, which we'll see on the highlights, but our defense held them to a field goal. Offense came down and scored again. So those things are getting better. It's just right there. I mean, everybody can see what it is. We aren't playing any pass defense. We're just letting guys go. Blown coverages change the scoreboard, and we are blowing coverages and not looking at what we need to look at and not being where we need to be in pass defense. And between all the different ball handlers on offense, from quarterbacks to centers to running backs to kick returners, we're dropping the ball and throwing the ball to them, and that's got to go away for us to have a chance to be successful.
Well, we've been talking about it. Let's go ahead and let the folks out there who didn't get a chance to see it take a look at what you're talking about. These are some of the highlights from Saturday's game, courtesy of Coach Williams, right? The filmer out there?
Yes.
Don Williams. So let's take a look, and Coach will talk you through it.
So this is our first offensive play, and it's going to be a strip sack. We tried to go on a post route. Damien held the ball too long. He could have ran it, could have checked it down. After 4 seconds, you got to have that clock in your head to be able to get rid of it. So we put our defense in a rough spot, but they stepped up, and they held them to a field goal. This is third down. We stop them on third down inside the 10, hold them to this field goal attempt, which they made. So an early 3-0 deficit for the Pirates.
But it could have been worse.
It could have been worse. Our kickoff return unit did really well. I just put this one on here because this got us good field position for our second drive. We put a bunch of new guys on our kick return unit. Don't have time to name them all off, but there are a lot of young guys that are playing with a lot of effort. And they really made a big difference on setting up our offense. This is fourth down on Hendricks' half of the 50. Damien does a good job of buying himself time and hitting Graydon Thompson down inside the red zone. You can see a defensive player for Hendricks comes off on the twist. Really good play by Damien. Great catch in traffic by Graydon, who's having a really good freshman season. We couldn't punch it in, but Charlie Fournier, obviously super reliable, knocks it in, and we're 3-3 midway through the first quarter. Pirates are back on defense. And this is Ethan Mills, who makes a really nice play. Now, we don't have an interception yet this year. It would be great for him to pick that off. But it was still a good play on the deep ball. Nice play by Ethan. And then there's a blown coverage. And blown coverages change scoreboards. This sets them up at first and goal. They ran a similar play to that out of some different formations, and we just couldn't handle it. Our eye discipline, our focus, a lot of different things contributed to it. So this is our second chance inside the 10. This time they do break through, and that's going to make the score 10-3. But back comes our offense. Colby Bartlett with a nice 25, 30-yard run here, picking up some blocks downfield from his receivers. Back on the Hendricks side of the 50. Now early second quarter. Nice play on third down, Damien to Graydon Thompson again, moving us down deeper. Good run off the fake by Damien. Now we're down into the red zone. So we've got a very good drive going. And we moved the ball consistently on offense. We had a couple turnovers, especially in the third quarter, that really stopped us. Otherwise, we did a good job. Right in the middle of that pile is Damian Gomez. He's lying in the end zone. And it took him about 20 seconds to signal a touchdown. And you can see Damian laying in the end zone. I don't know what that's all about, but regardless, it's 10-10 early in the second quarter. And here's where, as Merle pointed out, this is our rough stretch. This is the only stretch of the game where Hendricks outplayed us. Otherwise, we were right there or even a little bit better. Our run defense was pretty darn good. They cracked one on us.
Right.
You want to eliminate that, but our run defense was pretty stout. That's Alec Gomez getting there first. Joe Nielsen, senior defensive tackle, getting there second to help clean up. And there's a blown coverage. He should not just be there all by himself. So those are things that we're going to be working on this week. We need to coach it better. We need to play it better. We've got some work to do to get out of this situation of needing to really improve our pass defense. Sam LeBleu shaking off the 3 turnovers he had with a really nice 15-yard run there on first down to get the drive moving. We didn't score, unfortunately, and in just a couple plays, Hendricks came back, another blown coverage, wide open touchdown. So we blew 2 straight coverages in a row that allowed them to go the length of the field pretty quickly after we punted. So about 3 minutes have gone by. That's 2 touchdowns. We're now down by two scores. And then our very next play, our center snaps it before anybody's ready, and I cannot explain that. It's not like it's a 90,000 person stadium.
Right.
So we just give up 2 scores. The offense needs to let the defense rest a little bit. And our first play we do that. Then 2 plays later, Colby Bartlett drops it, an unforced fumble, and there you go. Yep. So things are not going well. And you can see the 2 things that are hurting our football team this year: pass defense and turnovers. Right there in this 8-minute stretch, that was really, really poor. Blown coverage. He should not be wide open like that again. We've got to work on that. We've got to make some improvements. And we need to be better. So in short order, that's what that stretch of football looked like. 4 scores pretty fast. We end the half on a really nice drive. There's Damien hitting Demarion Wigington. 4 running backs played. I think they all did some pretty good things. Yep. So this is a 2-minute drive. Damien doing a nice job buying time. Going to run for the first down, and then Hendricks is going to hit him well out of bounds. That gives us an extra 15. And when you're playing in a 2-minute drive, that is such a nice bonus to get.
Yeah.
To get an extra 15. So now we're down inside the 30-yard line. A really nice route out of the backfield by Sam Johnson, our freshman H-back, who's having another really good year as far as freshmen, both blocking and catching the football. Now we're down to the 5-yard line. and Damien to Sam LeBleu on the swing pass, and Sam just uses his speed, outflanks the defense, and we have put a Band-Aid on the wound.
Right.
And we've cut into the lead a little bit. We're going into halftime.
You're still in the game at this point.
Still in the game. 37-17. It will be 17. That's probably before the extra point. Come out to start the second half. Another nice run by Sam LeBleu on first down to get the drive started. Those are things that are important to us. And we've got Jalen Spriggs in quarterback now, a really nice run. And Jalen created that by himself. He pulled it, made another man miss right at the line of scrimmage. So Jalen's got a really nice drive going for us. And then, an error. We miss our receiver. We miss Mitchell Garrett. And inside the red zone is where we would have been had we completed it. Mm-hmm. But an inaccurate pass, he threw it to the right guy. He just missed. So a good drive ends short. But on the very next play, Blaine Corkin, who we're going to see coming up as a guest on the show, is involved with this fumble. There you see Blaine puts his head on the football. The ball comes out, and we've got our first fumble recovery of the season. Pirates are back in business.
We just mentioned last week we needed some of those.
We needed to create turnovers, and that was a really good job of hitting the football and knocking it away. Second play of our drive, unfortunately, we're going to throw an interception in the end zone. This is the one that Damien just has to throw away. There's nothing there. If he can run for some yards, great. Otherwise, throw it away. We've got to come away with points off the turnover. Right. So that's 2 interceptions down in the red zone to start the third period. We had opportunities to cut into it. And then this is our luck. Very next play, the one good run play they had, they break for an 80-yard touchdown. And that's our luck right now.
Yeah.
Our turnovers turn into points for the other team. And we've run the math. If we didn't turn the ball over, we'd be 3-0 right now. But if you take away the points off the turnovers, that's where we'd be as a football team. Devin Phillips is a freshman running back who made his debut in the second half, and he had over 125 yards of total offense between rushing and receiving. We're going to see him catch a touchdown. A really good college debut for him. Jalen Spriggs off the fake, running it up the middle. And we're cutting into the lead. As I mentioned, other than that 8-minute stretch in the second period, we were just as good and at times better than Hendricks. Hendricks had a really great fourth quarter drive. You got to tip their hat to him. Otherwise, it was a lot of gifts. We didn't make it hard on them very often. This is a fourth down play. C.J. Navarro misses the sack, but he forces the quarterback off his spot, and the defense gets a much-needed stop. And this is the next play. We're going to block the punt. It's Garrett Davidsmeyer coming through the short side A gap, coming right around the shield, and Ethan Mills picks it up, and that's 14 unanswered for the Pirates. And imagine if we'd cashed in on those other opportunities we had early in the third quarter, but now things are going pretty well. This is a pseudo onside. We call it a sky kick, where Charlie Fournier is just going to hit it where they're not, and we're either going to get the ball ourselves, which we don't quite do, or we're going to give them a pretty long field in doing so. We're eliminating the option for them to have a return. Here's the final blown coverage of the day. We're 3 for 3. You got to cover your guy, and we don't cover our guy. And that's the end of the last drive for Hendricks. That was their best drive of the day.
Right.
Their quarterback made 3 really good throws on that drive. So I will say that until the very last play, we covered our guys on that drive.
Yeah, there was a lot of
they were really good plays.
Yeah.
Jalen Spriggs with a nice throw to Graydon Thompson. Again, Graydon's having a really nice freshman season. And then Jalen buys time, finds Devin Phillips, a freshman running back, down the sideline. Devin, again, just played in the second half, had over 125 yards total, that receiving touchdown. And that's going to set it, the final score. But we had a chance at this onside kick. Peyton Ludeman is right there. Really nice kick by Aiden Nanez, just inches away.
Can't come any closer.
There's a whole lot of nervousness for the guys in orange if we were able to grab that. But it was well executed.
Yeah.
Those things are tough to get, and we were just a hair off. So the wounds are kind of self-inflicted. You could see all the wide open guys that we just didn't cover. And you can see the impact that the turnovers had. And that's what's going on with our football team. Again, it's not you don't have to be an analyst and watch film and study film to know what we need to work on. Everybody can see it. It's right there. We know it. So we'll get to work on getting better at it.
And it almost seems cruel because, like I said, you turn it over. Sometimes teams will turn it over and the defense come out and get a stop, or the other team will make a mistake themselves and give the ball right back to you guys. It seems like every time you guys make a mistake, the other team just goes right for the jugular and is able to score somehow.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it's gone, but just don't turn it over. You don't have to be in that situation.
You mentioned the rushing defense. I thought it was really solid all day long with the exception of that one play. Kudos to those guys for really stuffing a team. It hasn't run a lot, but still it made them one-dimensional. So on the other side of the ball, what are you looking to improve on in terms of the coverage? Is it mental errors? Is it physical things? What's going on there, do you think?
With the pass defense?
The pass defense, yeah.
A ton of mental errors of not being where you're supposed to be, not covering your guy, not being in your zone. A lot of eye focus, of not looking where you're supposed to look to know where you're supposed to be.
Right.
And again, those are things that we can work on. We've got to find different or better ways to coach these things. As players, we've just got to be committed to our individual skills. I think that's what we can all work together on. And again, I keep repeating myself, but it's awesome that we know what we need to do.
Right.
We're not shaking our heads and scratching and thinking, what do we got to do? It's right there, so we can attack it. It's all in front of us. As coaches and players, we need to work together on it and figure out solutions, and that's what we're going to try to do.
And the last thing that struck me, and you've already commented on, the three running backs coming in. Let's see, Colby Bartlett, Devin Phillips, Samuel Blue combined for 114 yards. They average 5.4 yards per carry. Doesn't matter what level of football. I'm not a math major, but if you keep doing that, you're going to pick up first downs. They all seem different. They all seem like they complement each other, and a good offensive line play as well.
We are really solid right now at running back with depth, and we haven't seen Christian Reeves yet this season either. He'll be available to us this game, who had a really strong ending to his freshman year last year. We have the competition at running back that we wish we had at all positions, because they have to perform, they have to prepare, and to get opportunities when you get your chance, you've got to do some things. And you didn't even mention Demarion Wigginton. We saw Demarion with a nice catch and run. So we've got good depth there, and they're players that are good on special teams. They're solid on offense. So we're in a pretty good situation at running back, and we're going to try to find ways, as I said, through offense and through special teams, to use the skills of those players.
So 51-38, the final score. Anything else you wanted to touch on with Hendricks, or moving on to the next week?
No, I think within our rushing defense, I just challenged our guys at our team meeting today to get even better. But our defensive guys in the box, Jason London, Justin Zamora, and Malik McDonald, and Morion Williams-Jack, and Jalen, who we saw last week, Jalen Levine and Joe Nielsen. Those 6 defensive linemen are really working well right now as a group, but I think they can be even stronger. We played the 3 linebacker look last week with Alec Gomez, who was our guest last week, and Blaine Corkin, who's our guest this week. Those guys are playing well. Liam Phelan also played and started this week with a 3 linebacker look. And we've got some really good young linebackers, too, that are giving us some depth there. So that is, I think, our strength on defense, and we're doing well with our run defense, but we can be even stronger with that. And so I think that's what we're building on defense. On offense, everything that we've wanted to do has worked at times. It's the self-inflicted wounds with bad snaps and turnovers and some drops. So we just need to clean stuff up. Despite 12 turnovers, we're averaging over 425 yards a game. We're moving the football 27 points despite the 7 turnovers against TLU where we scored 10. We can do some things. We know what's in front of us. It's a two-thing checklist. Hang on to the ball, cover them when they go out and run for pass routes. That's what we got to do.
I'm going to walk around the house with some eggs and just drop them everywhere. Maybe absorb some of that from you guys and take that away from you. So we'll take a break and be back for quarter number 2 here, as we're going to be joined by senior linebacker Blaine Corkin here. You're watching SU Football Weekly on the Vype Live Network. And welcome back for quarter number 2 of SU Football Weekly here from Jack's Lounge inside the Georgetown Sheraton. Merle Bertrand here with you. We'll introduce our next guest here in just a second. I want to thank some more of our sponsors, John F. Lewis CPA, Mighty Fine Burgers, Fries, and Shakes, Minuteman Press, Primerica Financial Solutions, Rudy's Barbecue, and Schlotsky's Georgetown. I always get hungry when I do these shows because it's all these food sponsors. It's just not fair.
Definitely.
This is not fair. We welcome in our senior linebacker, Blaine Corkin. Blaine, introduce yourself. You're a veteran of the show, but for the new folks out there, introduce yourself and let people know where you're from and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for the introduction. As you said, I'm Blaine Corkin, senior linebacker, originally from the Woodlands, Texas, a little north of Houston.
Well, what attracted you to Southwestern? Some of these questions I know I asked you last year, but what was it that brought you all the way from the big city in Houston up here to Georgetown?
Yeah, so mainly the biggest thing was the dual of football and academics. Southwestern's a great academic school, and when I toured, it just felt like home, and I knew I was going to get a great education that was going to set me up for the rest of my life after football, because football is just temporary, so that was the main reason.
Well, that's the plan. How's it worked out? How's your experience been here at Southwestern so far?
Yeah, the Southwestern experience has been great. Football, met a whole bunch of lifelong relationships. The coaches are great, love the environment. And then the school, I just feel super prepared, taking a lot of kinesiology and business classes, currently working on my capstone, so that's a lot of fun. But yeah, no, just feel super prepared and ready to take the next step after this.
Well, I noticed that you were first team all-district your senior year of high school at the Woodlands. What was the biggest adjustment to college ball for you coming in from high school football at the 6A level to playing D3 college football?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is speed. I mean, even coming from a 6A school where we play a lot of good teams like North Shore, a lot of state champions, Duncanville, the speed is just completely different. You got to be able to read and react faster. And just the talent, the size of guys, they're just bigger. You're facing 22, 23-year-olds instead of 16, 17, 18-year-olds. So, yeah, big difference.
I always like asking the guys that sort of, when you play high school football, you're playing with the same guys year after year and that kind of thing. When you're throwing into a college situation, you might recognize some guys that you played with either on your team or from the other team. But it's people from all across the state. Talk about that sort of acclimation process, coming in and getting to know strangers who might have had different experiences from you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we play a lot of dudes. The Woodlands plays a lot of the Klein schools and a lot of people around that area, especially playing people from, like I said, North Shore, Duncanville. We got a lot of people going D1, a lot of people in D3. I have 2 of my friends that play at Trinity currently, so we're going to play them this year, and that'll be super interesting. But, yeah, getting just acclimated to the college football experience, it's a lot. I mean, you just got to be able to balance everything and just be very disciplined. So.
What's it like to see somebody that you play football with probably your whole life or at least throughout high school, and you see them on the other sideline wearing another team's colors? What's that like?
No, definitely. We can be friends off the field, but when it's on the field, there's definitely a grudge to be had. Yeah. I definitely want to show them that I'm the better player for sure. So, yeah.
Well, you were second-team academic All-State in high school. You talked about the academics here at Southwestern. So talk about that a little bit, the challenges of balancing the academics with being a collegiate athlete. Some of the guys have talked about that throughout the season. How much harder is it to balance schoolwork with, your football life?
Well, I think Coach Austin and all the other coaches really do make a good point. They call it 8-8-8, and it's 8 hours for sleep, 8 hours for academics, and then 8 hours for free time. And the difference between doing football, being a student athlete, and not being a student athlete is that football chews into that third free time 8 hours.
Right.
So let's say you practice 4 hours, you only have 4 hours to do homework, or not homework, that's for the academic side, but just to chill out and do other things. So, yeah.
Not a math major, huh?
No, definitely not. No, don't like math, yeah.
But I knew what you meant. Well, you're already averaging 10.7 tackles per game so far this season. You forced a fumble. You're on pace to more than double your total tackles last year. What are your thoughts on the season so far? Obviously, you don't like the record that you've got, but what are your thoughts on the season so far, and where are you personally focused on improving?
I mean, we just got a great group of guys up front. I mean, with the D-line and then my other linebacker, Alec Gomez, so that really does help out a lot, giving me great looks, great lanes to run through. And, I mean, we just got a lot of improvement to do. I mean, I'm sure Coach Austin touched on it a lot, but, not the result we wanted, but we're just going to reset and be more focused and come back and hopefully have a good showing against Birmingham Southern. So.
I think I mentioned it to Peyton Ludeman when he was on the show a couple of years ago. You guys are sort of a veteran defensive group, a lot of guys have been playing together for Southwestern for at least 2 or 3 years, which kind of resembles high school a little bit. How much has that helped your comfort zone and the camaraderie and that kind of thing, knowing so many of the guys that you're playing with, so many starters back and that kind of thing?
Yeah, definitely. I think having a heavily senior defense or just upperclassmen in general is good because we can hold each other accountable. We all know each other. We know if we mess up and we get on the other person, there's no hard feelings because we all respect each other. And we also have a lot of experience, a lot of play time. So, yeah, definitely that's one of our strong suits on our defense for sure.
Well, we saw just a few moments ago on the highlight, you had a nice big hit that forced a fumble that you recovered on Saturday. You haven't had an interception in college yet, so hypothetical for you. Which do you prefer and why? A big hit, maybe a sack that the ball's laying there, you scoop it up and score, or a pick six for an interception return?
I mean, personally, big hit. I mean, I definitely want to get an interception for sure in my college career, especially as I move more as a hybrid position, kind of giving into the pass drops a little bit more. But, yeah, no, nothing's like hitting someone real hard, hearing that pop, and then ball. So, yeah.
So not even close, right?
No, yeah, not even close for me at least, yeah.
Well, in the 4 hours that you have left in your free time, because so much practice taking up some of your time, what are some of the things that you like to do away from the field?
I play a little bit of piano off the field. Yeah, I mean, just hang out with my friends, really. Just, yeah, that's mainly all of it. I mean, 4 hours isn't a whole bunch of time. So, yeah, just some different hobbies and just hang out with some friends. So.
You still do have time then, especially I'm guessing in the off season, to kind of enjoy the college experience. It's
yeah, no,
not all work all the time.
Most definitely. The first 3 months of off season, like January to March, we don't have football. It's just weights. So that's a nice time to really recover, get ready for the spring season, and just have a good time, get the college experience for sure.
And be indoors when the ice storms are happening outside. Yes.
Yeah.
What's your favorite memory so far, either on or off the field or both? Have you got one cool in either place?
Yeah, I mean, I got both. I think the biggest moment was TLU sophomore year. I strip sacked the quarterback, and Bernard Century ran it back for a touchdown. That was like the highlight of the year, really my experience for here. And then off the field, just hanging out with the teammates. We just got a great group of guys. That's really just what makes me want to stick around and really just do great for this team. We just got a great brotherhood here at Southwestern, and, yeah, just hanging out with them.
Well, this is a question I always ask the seniors. If you could go back in time, what would you tell yourself as a freshman coming in?
To not procrastinate. I think that'd be the biggest thing. Yeah, I still struggle with it a little bit up now. It's gotten better. But, yeah, freshman, sophomore year, especially coming off COVID where everything was online and then coming back in the classes, definitely another adjustment having to come in and come back in person and stuff. So, yeah.
Was it hard to kind of, some of the guys that have been around that went through that COVID season, was it hard to kind of get back into a normal rhythm and that kind of thing? Because that really messed everything up, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. There was a lot of restrictions just across the board with masks, and it was just it was an unprecedented time for everybody. So definitely a huge adjustment. I mean, I think our first real regular year was last year, my junior year. So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed that you're majoring in business, minoring in kinesiology. What are your plans after graduation? Or are you still kind of working through some of that?
Yeah, I actually switched majors, so I switched them. It's majoring in kinesiology
Foiled
now.
by the website again.
Yeah.
So what is it now again? I'm sorry.
I'm majoring in kinesiology and minoring in business. But, yeah, right now, like I said, we're just working on our capstone. Not exactly sure what I want to do after. Maybe attempt a master's or get a GA position as a strength and conditioning intern at a football school so they can pay for part of the tuition or like housing and stuff to get my master's while I'm there. But yeah, no, definitely just looking at some different options. Not exactly 100% sure yet though.
Now, for those who don't know, what is capstone? What does that specifically refer to?
So Southwestern has basically a cumulative project for each major called capstone, and it's a project. So for kinesiology, we basically write it's like a mini dissertation basically. So mine is about barefoot running and how it can be implemented into like track programming if it helps improve speed or not. So you just get a wide variety of different topics across different majors, and it's really beneficial because it really gives you that on-field experience of whatever major you want to do, and it looks really good on college resumes because you're actually doing work in the field that you're trying to go into. So.
Very cool. Well, any shout-outs you want to give? Anybody you want to say hello to, or any final thoughts?
Yeah, no, shout out to the family back home, Mom, Dad, Brandon, Brett, Opa, a lot of people, Mimi, Auntie Karen, Auntie Cindy. Got a lot of people, my trainers, Steve. Yeah, that's about it, yeah. Awesome.
Well, thank you for coming on the show, and good luck on Saturday. Good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you.
All right, sit tight. We'll take a break and be right back. Chuck Tracy is not here tonight, so you're stuck with me for the third quarter. I'll do my best for Tracy's corner. When we come back, we'll hear from the other side of the ball, offensive lineman Josh Taylor. We'll take a break and be right back. You're watching SU Football Weekly on the Vype Live Network. And welcome back for quarter number 3 of SU Football Weekly here from Jack's Lounge inside the Georgetown Sheraton. My name is Merle Bertrand. Happy to have you with us here for show number 4 of the season, already flying by here. And we're joined now by junior offensive lineman Josh Taylor. Josh, introduce yourself. Hello.
My name is Josh Taylor. I'm from Richmond, Texas. I'm a junior, and I play O-line.
Go ahead and bring your mic just a little bit closer. I think that'll probably help you out a little bit. So what school did you said you're in Houston. What school did you go to?
Georgia Ranch High School.
So obviously we just talked to Blaine about the sort of rivalries and seeing guys from across the ball. Mm-hmm. Did you ever face Blaine in high school?
No, sir.
Never did, huh?
I never got a crack at him.
How about any of the other guys on the Pirates?
I actually faced my best friend on the team. His name is Camden Terry. He's a senior. He played at Strake Jesuit, and we faced against them.
What's that like in the week leading up to the game?
The week leading up to the game?
What's that like that first time you realize that somebody that you've worked against so far is suddenly on your team?
It kind of feels good, I never got to get my get back because, we lost to them, but it feels good to,
right.
Finally be with an opponent. Yes, sir.
Well, just like I asked Blaine, what is it that attracted you to Southwestern?
What attracted me to Southwestern was the relationship with the coaches, the academics, and, the campus was pretty nice when I did my visit. Yes, sir.
Well, what's the experience been like? Has it kind of met your expectations here? Now you're now in your third year here at Southwestern.
Yes, sir. It's actually exceeded my expectations. The people here are nice, and the sun just hits different over here.
The what's different?
The sun.
The sun? Like how?
I don't know. I feel like the sun just shines brighter over here.
All right. Well, I mean, the colors are sort of black and goldenrod, so maybe that's part of it.
Yes, sir.
I noticed that you were a 4-year letterman at George Ranch, which means you played a lot in high school.
Yes, sir.
First team unanimous all-district your senior year, and you played every season so far here at Southwestern.
Yes, sir.
So you played a lot of football. What was the biggest adjustment to college football for you, going from playing so much in high school to playing here in college?
The biggest adjustment was probably just playing older, more stronger guys, So I had to, really hone in on my mental aspect of the game and try to beat them in ways that's not physically, Yes,
has that gotten easier in your third year than it was maybe the first year when you came in?
Oh, for sure, yes, sir. I'm now able to pick up on tendencies and learn when stunts or loops are coming. Yes, sir.
Well, I also noticed you're second team academic all-state in high school and a member of the National Honor Society. So talk about the challenges of balancing academics with being a collegiate athlete. How much harder are the academics here than they were in high school? How big of an adjustment was that for you?
It's for sure harder here, but, the whole struggle with school is just procrastinating. Sometimes you rather play the game than do an assignment. So, it's just you just got to find a balance, Coach Austin has a rule, the 8 rule. You just got to find a unique balance and, fit school in there somewhere.
And I'm guessing a lot more of it is on you. You don't have mom and dad there saying, hey, make sure you get your homework done. If you don't discipline yourself, it's not going to get done, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, I remember that was actually one of the biggest misconceptions people have when they first started talking about bringing football back here at Southwestern, that fear of having just a bunch of dumb jocks running around the campus. Do you guys still get any of that sort of bad stereotype? And if so, how do you handle it?
We don't get that bad stereotype. I feel like we're all smart guys.
Yeah.
We're not dumb jocks.
Well, I know you're not. I just didn't know if the people outside maybe still think that way.
Nah.
No, we're good.
No, sir.
You lead by example, right?
Yes, sir.
There you go. A lot of times offensive linemen, they sort of take a perverse pride in the fact that there aren't really a lot of stats that are kept on you guys. What are some of the things that the coaches watch? And I got to follow up for that, but go ahead, go with that part first.
Obviously, the only thing we can really measure is pancakes, and the only other thing we can record as far as stat wise is sacks given up, and basically anything that's a stat for us is a negative. So
Well, on that note, and there might not be anything. If there's not, that's fine. But on that note, if there was one thing that you wish they tracked but they don't, what would it be?
Pancakes, for sure.
Pancakes?
Yes, sir.
Is that sort of an unofficial stat that you guys keep track of yourself?
Yeah, we keep track of our pancakes. Yes, sir.
Now, for people who are watching that may not know, pancakes are not something you get at IHOP. What does that mean specifically?
That's basically, when you dominate the person in front of you and you put them on the ground, and that's what they consider a pancake.
There you go. Do you prefer run blocking or pass blocking, and why? Which is your preference?
I prefer run blocking for
Why,
sure.
why is that?
Because you get to pancake the guy.
Well, how tough is it to block for a quarterback like Damian Gomez? He's such a good scrambler. You always have to have in the back of your head, if you're drifting downfield, you don't want to get called for being downfield if he suddenly decides to chuck it down the field.
Mm-hmm. He's not a hard QB to block for. You know, he's very patient in the pocket. He steps up in the pocket. He's very poised. He's an easy person to block for.
Well, what are some of the things that you like to do away from the field when you're not playing football or studying?
Well, obviously eat, but you know, besides that, probably just hang out with my friends and play video games.
Now, you mentioned that. I don't have it on my questions here, but if I remember right, correct me if I'm wrong, you were a letterman in basketball in high school.
I played basketball, not a letterman.
Now,
I played
that's
in my
what it
freshman
said.
year.
So were you trying to spin it a little bit?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Did you play, was it just like pickup stuff, or were you actually on the team and playing?
Yeah, I was on the team my freshman year.
Because you don't exactly you don't have many offensive linemen that play basketball.
Mm-hmm.
What was your favorite part about that? What was your favorite part about basketball as opposed to football?
My favorite part about basketball.
And you better not say pancakes.
No, no, sir. Probably just getting stats because, you know, I play O-line in high school, and, you know,
Right.
you finally get a stat recorded in your name in basketball. Yes, sir.
Well, it says here, and it could be wrong, but it said it's majoring in business and minoring in English. Is that still correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And what are your plans after graduation? You've got at least another year here, but what are you thinking about doing after you get out of school?
I plan to, you know, own business, probably own, like, apparel businesses and, you know, just venture off into the business world.
Very cool. Well, any shout-outs, any final thoughts that you have? Anybody you want to say hello to before we let you go?
Shout out my mom. Love you.
There you go. Junior offensive lineman Josh Taylor kind enough to join us here. We're going to keep it here. Coach is throwing a curveball at us here. We got a special guest coming up. So, Josh, I'm going to let you slip out, set the headset down, and we're going to bring up our special guest here, our guest coach for the week, who might not even know he's going to be on the show. So we're going to give him a minute to come on up here. Coach thinks I'm getting too comfortable, so he decided to throw a curveball at us here. Well, go ahead and throw the headsets on here.
Yeah. Go Pirates.
All right, we'll get your levels dialed in here. So first of all, introduce yourself to the folks out there who don't know who you are and that kind of thing.
All right. My name is Desiree Roybal, and I am a professor of theater, and I am the NCAA faculty rep for Southwestern Pirates.
And you're going to be the guest coach this week. Talk about that a little bit, what that means, what some of the duties are, especially on a big week here with homecoming coming up.
Oh, my God. The things I would – well, hey, I have all kinds of plays planned, and I don't want to share them right now. You know, I just want to surprise you all at the game. So I picked up some things from Coach Austin here. I have some razzle-dazzle. I've got we'll just have to see what happens.
Are you old school? Do you have any stick-em? Coaches talked about the Pirates having problems with the fumbles and that kind of thing. Do you have any stick-em so they hang on to the football a little better?
Well, you know, as a professor of theater, I have all kinds of tricks, and so I have glues, special glues. Yeah, I think we got something. Yeah.
Well, in your day job, when you're not coaching football on the side, in your day job, what do you do for Southwest? You mentioned the title, but what does that entail on a day-to-day basis?
So my area of specialty is scenic design and scenic painting. And so I design theater scenery and work with students working on plays locally in the area. And this summer we partnered with Magnolia Musical Theater, and it's a brand new theater that was launched just this year. We played to over 12,000 patrons and Bee Cave. I involved a couple of students for academic internships, and they did a fantastic job. And we're going to continue again with the same artistic team. We're all coming back, and the musical for next summer is Footloose.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Very awesome. Well, you mentioned set design. My wife, my better half, Christina Weber-Bertrand, is always monitors our broadcast to make sure it's on the air. I think it was week 1 she noticed that the pirate hat, the way we had the backdrop up, the pirate hat was coming out of the back of my head. So ever since then, we've kind of made sure that hasn't happened. So are those the kind of little details you got to keep an eye on as well?
Not so much. That's more of the direction. Hopefully, the director can move people around so that I don't have to be concerned with that. But yeah, it's always a concern.
Well, what are you looking forward to the most? Homecoming, a lot of former students of yours coming back and that kind of thing as well. What are you looking forward to this weekend the most?
Yeah, there's a lot of students coming back, and this year for homecoming, they're bringing it to the town, which is kind of nice, and so all of the events are across the city of Georgetown, and it's great. I think involving more of the Georgetown community in our homecoming is important. Yeah, it should be great.
And last question for you: what are you looking forward to the most about Saturday afternoon, other than the play calling? What are you looking forward to the most?
A solid win. You know, we're ready. I have some players in my classes, and they're pumped. They're ready, and so we're excited. I think it's going to be a great game.
Well, it's interesting. You have players in your classes. You don't think a lot of times about football players being part of the arts. Blaine mentioned he played guitar, and I think one of the other guys was a musician on the side. Talk about that. That's sort of, defying stereotypes, if you will. A lot of high school football players love the theater, love the arts, all that kind of thing.
Well, part of the liberal arts experience is taking coursework in all areas, and the way I approach it in my scene design class, I have 2 students in my scenic painting class right now, and just growth, that they enjoy what they're doing. I give them a few suggestions and just encourage them to keep trying, and they do really some fantastic work.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, especially since you had no idea that you were coming on.
And,
have a good time on Saturday afternoon. Good luck.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, it'll be a great game. Come on out. It'll be fantastic.
Awesome. We'll take a break and be right back. Coach Austin will come back up here to talk about the Birmingham Southern Panthers coming up. We'll take a break and be right back. You're watching SU Football Weekly here on the Vype Live Network. And welcome back to the 4th and final quarter of SU Football Weekly here. Merle Bertrand with you, along with Trey Grubb, our producer, and obviously Coach Austin has joined us here. Before we get to talking about Birmingham Southern, we want to thank the rest of our sponsors, including Bricks and Ale here at the Sheraton. They take good care of the folks that come out to the show every week, so thank you to those folks. Stephanie Featherstone with State Farm, Georgetown Shirt Company, HEB of Georgetown, House of Gaines, Ross and Champion CPA, GTX Wealth, Jersey Mike Subs, and the League Kitchen and Tavern. Well, it's homecoming week at Southwestern. The Pirates will look to get the first one of the season and, more importantly, even up their conference mark at 1-1 against Birmingham Southern. First meeting between these two clubs, and the Panthers come in at 1-2. They squeaked by McMurray to open the season, lost to Huntington College, and fell 38-3 against number 6 Trinity last Saturday. So, again, Coach, a new conference, a lot of new conference foes. What can you tell us about the Birmingham Southern Panthers?
They're a good football team, and their record is a little deceiving. They were in the playoffs 2 years ago. They were 7-3 last year. Their schedule's been really tough. Huntington has started the season in the national rankings, and Trinity is a top 5 team.
Right.
2 really, really good defenses. So if you just look at their scores, you'll notice they haven't scored a lot of points yet. Not a lot of teams are scoring points against those two defenses. They're about as good as you're going to see in Division III. So misleading 1 and 2. They were picked, I believe, second in the conference. In fact, they started the season in the national poll also. So they're a good football team. Been very good lately. One of the things that is unique about this game is we're happy to be playing it. If folks didn't follow, Birmingham Southern has been going through some really substantial financial worries, and they had to do some major things this summer to make sure that the school didn't close.
Oh, wow.
So we're happy that they're still kicking. We're happy we get to play the game, happy for their students and coaches and the school in general. And hopefully they can long-term continue to be an institution, because they're a very good school, very good academic school. Depending on what you read, there's different theories on what's caused them to struggle a little bit financially, but they're around now. They're coming. they're playing football, and their institution is open, and we're very glad for the opportunity to get to play them in football for the first time.
Well, hopefully we can expose some folks to them along the way. And you mentioned they're not scoring a lot. That was literally my next question, but they're not giving up a ton of points either. Does that tell you much about them and the kind of game we can expect? Are you expecting more of a tight defensive struggle, or does that not necessarily matter all that much?
Well, sometimes those things don't bear out, right? You expect a low-scoring game, it becomes, especially early in the season. They have very good athletes on defense, so they're no slouch on defense. They held a couple pretty good offenses in Huntington and Trinity down pretty well, and McMurray as well. As I said, they're a solid football team. It's a misleading 1 and 2 because the caliber of their opponents has been really, really strong.
Well, I kind of touched on it a moment ago. How does it work at the D3 level? You talk about them being a new opponent for Southwestern. Just in general, that's going to be happening a lot this year. Some of the teams you played before, but not all of them. A lot of new opponents. How does it work in terms of getting the film, in terms of scouting them? How does it work at the D3 level just in general?
It depends on conferences and what their scouting and film exchange rules are. In the SAA, in the conference that we moved to this year, we trade everything. So every week you put your film into the league pool, and you have so many days each week to pull the things that you want, which pretty much everybody's pulling everything.
Right.
So once we get to, our last game is against Sewanee, we'll have all 9 of their games. And, how much you go back to game 1 and 2,
right.
We'll see. But as coaches, you get worried that maybe you're going to miss that one thing that you needed to see. There's been 8 football games in between, so there's lots of data. We have all 3 of their games. They have all 3 of our games, and we're far enough into the season that we're still in the just the first third of the season. But it's enough data where I think both teams will have a pretty good idea of what their opponent is and who they are and what they're going to do.
Yeah, I think you've talked in the past about not wanting to sort of drown in data. You can almost get too much, and you can kind of outbox yourself a little bit. How much of a concern is that as the season goes on?
That's the line you have to draw, and it depends on the opponent. Some opponents really tailor their game plan every week and change quite a bit, and you have to figure out what is causing them to make those changes week to week as they see different opponents. Some teams are kind of set it and forget it. They're going to be really similar every week. They've got their systems in place. The most important thing to them is how well they play at what they do. And so it all depends on the opponent and what's going on within our team at the time. If when you get to week 8, 9, and 10, it depends on who you're playing on how far back you're going to go. You're going to go back probably, at least 4 games. Most coaches are going to be, again, hypochondriacs and go back at least 5 when you need to go back 4. But it all depends on how far you're going to go back. Because, as you said, you can just drown yourself in data. And you can see one play in one game 7 weeks ago and worry about it.
Right.
And it's probably not worth worrying about.
And kind of at the end of the day, you talked about it at the top of the show. I would imagine it's almost more about what the Pirates are going to do or not do, not turning it over, not making the kind of mistakes. Is that more the focus this week as opposed to what Birmingham Southern might be doing?
We talked about this at our team meeting this afternoon. It's definitely the co-focus because if we continue to blow coverages and if we continue to turn the ball over, then the opponents are relevant.
Right.
So we've got to be ready for both. We have to be ready for the schematics that we're going to see from the Birmingham Southern team, but we also have to be just as equally thinking about our 2 are two things on our checklist that we have to improve. So we have to attack both. So they're one opponent, and right now we're another opponent. Mm-hmm. We've got to beat both opponents.
Well, I mean, can we expect to see anything different? Are you going to try anything to kind of shake things up a little bit, or is it more like these are our guys, just do your jobs?
Well, we are developing. We talked about the competition at the running back position. And the fact that we have 6 defensive linemen that push each other and compete for the snaps that they're going to get. We're trying to develop that at lots of positions. And so you're going to see open competition at a lot of our defensive back spots. I think we feel pretty good about our defensive linemen and our first-team linebackers, and we've got some young linebackers that can back them up. We're trying to get that same competition. So by the end of the week, we could see some different things in the defensive secondary, without a doubt. There's also quarterback competition between Jalen Spriggs and Damian Gomez, and we evaluate all of this. We grade every play of every player in every JV and varsity game. We evaluate all the film. We've looked at lots of metrics, and through 3 games, all the team and individual metrics point to right now that Jalen is the quarterback that's given us the best opportunity to move the ball and score points. So Jalen's going to get his first collegiate start this weekend, and I think the guys will really rally around him. Brought a ton of spark to our offense. If you think back to his first 2 drives at Cal-Lu, boom, 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 ball in the end zone. Boom, 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 ball down the field again. Came off the bench, boom, 1-play touchdown. He's taken 0 sacks. He's thrown a few interceptions. He has to clean that up, but he's been really good in the run game. He's been really efficient on first down, and we score a lot when he's in the game. Yeah. Our yards per play are really, really good, and so right now he's the guy that's going to go out first, and we're all rooting for him. And Damian started a lot in his career, so this is a little bit new for him. He started our last 6 games, 3 last year and 3 this year. It'll be a different mental challenge for him, but I know if we need Damian, he's going to be ready to go, and those guys are continuing to fight.
Sure.
And that competition is good. It's going to force them both to play well and both to play consistently, and that's what we need to have. We need to have more competition within our football team, and this goes back to the COVID stoppage where recruiting was so tough during that and after that. We're just getting back now where we have that competition. Where if you're playing in the defensive secondary for us and you just let 3 guys run past you, we've got to have another guy that we can put in there. At some point you have to have that.
Right.
And we're getting to where we're going to have enough competition through games and through practice that we're going to be looking at guys that have earned that opportunity. And the way we look at it in our football program is show me and I'll play you, not play me and I'll show you. And as guys show it through competition, there's some guys that are going to get a look this week and get a chance to show what they can do.
That's one of the most fascinating things about watching this team is there are so many veteran guys that have performed so well and are still performing well, but there's so much young talent on both sides of the ball. So I'm curious to see how they develop with that in mind.
Our freshman and sophomore classes are really good. And again, we do have some very solid juniors and seniors, don't get me wrong, but you ask about the young guys.
Right.
There are a lot of sophomores that are playing and playing well. There are a lot of freshmen that are playing and playing well. And this is just what we have to get back into as a program in this post-COVID era. I call it phase 3 of going into the SAA. This is what we need. We need to have good young players coming in. And if guys are too comfortable and aren't performing, then we need to have the ability to move on to another option. Well, and I just want to say, too, sure. That wasn't directed at any one person or anything.
Right.
When you make a quarterback change, it's always a very tough decision. But we're just looking at that as we would at any position. Damian's done some very good things, and we've shown some really good highlights and things that he's done. But all the data leads to the fact that it's Jalen's turn to get the start and see what he can do.
Well, we'll find out. Obviously, homecoming week at Southwestern. Football is such a huge part of that tradition. What are some of the things in store for the football team here this week?
Well, let's tell the story of homecoming. In 1909, at San Gabriel Park, Southwestern created the tradition of homecoming. And they found ways to put people up in individual homes and all over to make it happen. And now everybody does homecoming all across the world. And to the moms to think back to high school of our players. No, we didn't come up with the thing with the mums and the flowers that cost you $500 here in Texas. That was not part of what we did with homecoming. Somebody else came up with that thing to zap your bank account. So I would say homecoming's pretty darn important in Southwestern. I mean, if you created it, you need to do a good job with it. The only thing that you have to do from a football perspective is play well in the homecoming game.
Right.
'Cause people are coming to watch us. It's a big part of the homecoming weekend. That's all we have to do. There's no other ceremonies or pomp and circumstance for football. There'll be some things that players can enjoy afterwards with homecoming weekend, but our one and only job is to focus on the homecoming game and give everybody a great experience coming to watch us play.
Well, that leads right into the last question. So how do you make homecoming an extra motivator rather than a distraction? How do you keep these guys focused on the ball instead of chasing all the shiny things out there?
Well, I don't think that's going to be a big deal because it doesn't really get cranked up until the end of the week.
Okay.
You know, as you walk around campus right now on a Monday, you know, it's not like there's a bunch of distractions going on. You know, I think it comes down to being a competitor. If you know that there's people that come watch you play once a year. To me, that's motivational as the coach. You know, they're going to come and they're going to look at our program once a year. Otherwise, they see it from afar through newsletters or social media posts. There's alumni that come to see us, whether they're football playing alumni or just alumni in general, that are going to come see us once a year. I think that's motivational, and I would hope our players find that motivational as well.
Are you going to take your guest coach's advice on the play calling?
If it works, yes. It was my idea. If it doesn't work, we'll just blame Desi next week, okay? So
there you go.
Expect to see Desi doing the film breakdown next week, talking about what, you know, the things he screwed up and the things I did right.
Well, any final thoughts here before we let you go?
No, I think we analyzed this really well. I mean, we talked at 8 Ways to Sunday on what we need to do as a football team, and we're playing a good team against Birmingham Southern. So if we don't address the things that haven't been good, you know, they'll be able to go past us. But if we can address those things, I think our guys can play well and give them a good game.
All right, so we'll find out. Pirates versus Birmingham Southern Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock from Birkelbach Field inside the Georgetown ISD Athletic Complex. We'll be on the air at or around 12:40 with the pregame show on Vype.com, and you can also find the link on southwesternpirates.com on the football schedule side. So we'll also be back with you from Jack's Lounge at the Georgetown Sheraton next Monday night at 6 o'clock for another edition of SU Football Weekly. I want to thank our guests tonight, Blaine Corkin and Josh Taylor, our producer Trey Grubb filling in for Jack. Awesome job, Trey. Trey, by the way, has been producing Austin High football for us this year, doing a great job over there. Sooner Vincott, Chuck Crace will be back with us next week. Our QA tonight, Christina Weber-Bertrand. And Coach Austin, of course, Rita Healy here at the Georgetown Sheraton, and everybody out there who came out, and everybody for tuning in tonight. So have a great week. We'll see you Saturday afternoon for Southwestern Pirates football, and be back for SU Football Weekly 1 week from tonight right here on Vype. Have a great week. Good night, everybody.